Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Friday App Review. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Mountain View, so what else would good Android developer advocates be doing than sitting inside looking at apps? My name's Red O'Meara. I'm joined today by Fred Chung.
Hello, everyone.
So we've got some apps. We're a little short of time, so let's dig right in. Okay, awesome. So let's see. What we will start with today is SwipePad. So if we switch to the phone, we can see, perfect. We can see the UI that comes up for SwipePad. Now, what you can effectively do here is it lets you create hotspots on your phone, which will then bring up sort of this quick access menu. So let's see. So I think here is in this UI you get to choose which corner it is, and it demonstrates it on the screen. So we've got the right edge, or you can have
the red shaded area is the hotspot, right?
Exactly.
Cool.
So that's what's going to be activated, and then you can choose here to associate a specific task with it. So we'll have the default pad for that one. Let's see, top left corner. Make that recent tasks. Why not? Need an add-on to proceed. Interesting. All right, so I'm going to skip the exactly 99 cents for the add-on. Well picked, Fred. So we'll skip. Let's see. We'll skip that for now. We'll go back in, and so you've got basically this becomes a settings menu. So you can choose all of the various things which are going to show up. You can see right away it's a nice looking app. It's using the Holo theming. You've got the tabs along the top as you want, so that all kind of makes sense. We'll see what the actual app looks like. So as you can see there, as I'm swiping across.
Oh, I missed that. How did you trigger this screen?
So it was quite nice, right? So I just click on the red and drag,
cool.
And it sticks it straight on top. Which is I'm not, to be honest, not entirely sure how they pull that off, but it works quite well. And so then I can open up Maps, and it takes me shortcut straight to Maps. Let's see if we can. Oh, no, I didn't.
So you can launch it from anywhere.
Exactly.
Right?
So here I am in Maps. So I just do the same thing.
Oh wow.
And it'll open music.
So I guess it somehow overlays a window on top of whatever you're looking at.
It must do. So I guess similar to the way an IME works,
right.
or similar to lock screen or those sorts of things.
It's a very clever implementation.
It is. It's actually quite neat. So in terms of functionality, I quite like the app. I don't know that I would keep it installed on my phone, because I tend to find that the shortcuts to things kind of work already pretty well. I just have everything on my home screen that I want to be able to get to quickly. But it's definitely an interesting idea.
That's the thing with Android. I guess Android is all about choice. I guess you may not like it, but some other users out there, I'm sure.
Precisely.
Some people that might like it and willing to pull out, to pay 99 cents for whatever actions.
Exactly, and I guess that's one of the things. I mean, people love to create their own sort of home screen widgets and have things like the shortcut bar. These sorts of things are really popular. So it's definitely an app with a market. So yeah, again, if we actually look at it in terms of feedback, it's a pretty simple app. So I'm going to ask Trevor to mute monitor because that's echoing. Excellent. So it's fairly straightforward. I like the consistency in the colouring. You've sort of got green for selected. You've got sort of these sensible tabs along the top. It all works pretty much the way I would expect. So no sort of strong sort of comments on that side.
So you can configure the different actions and different icons associated with each of these grids.
Exactly, and if I select on something which doesn't have anything in there yet, then it prompts me to say, what would you like to have included, which is nice. If we have a look at the phone again now, you can see sort of the UI for when you're doing the selection. Again, is simple and pretty elegant. You've got this kind of cool, circle around your finger so that you can see what you're selecting, and it highlights things as we go over them. So, in terms of usability, I'd say that's pretty good.
Right.
You got any comments, Fred?
Yeah, the only thing I like to add is the width of the red bar, the hotspot. Is that what they're calling it?
Yes.
The hotspot area. I guess will it potentially interfere with certain applications? I mean, it's pretty thin, but I'm just wondering if there are any corner cases.
It's an interesting point, and I wondered about that, particularly in apps which have the ability to side scroll left and right, and
or games for that matter.
Exactly, and it's not too bad from what I can tell.
Okay.
It's actually No, it's not quite. I thought it might be detecting only things which came off the
Got
side,
it,
but it's
got it.
about maybe 3 pixels
Yeah,
short.
yeah. It intercepted the
Yeah.
motion, right?
So yeah, you're right. I guess you could test, but yeah, it is pretty sensitive in that it has to be in that small zone. I've found myself more being unable to launch it rather than getting in the way of other things. So yeah, but it's a good point. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I would be a little bit hesitant about using it. Is just because I worry that it's going to interfere with my sort of normal usability. But
Right.
yeah.
Well,
Does
let's
it
have a
work
quick
on
look at the
work on the tablet?
Tablet version.
Excellent.
Let's switch to the tablet. Trevor, thank you. So
Very nice.
I just launched this application. It walks me through a number of steps illustrating how this app functions. I am just gonna quickly click through the various
Right.
steps.
That's a reasonable tutorial, though.
Yeah. Although on a tablet size screen,
It's a lot of
text
blank
could
space.
be a little bit bigger. And to Rayto's earlier point, there's a lot of blank space on to the left and right, and you might want to start adopting a screenshot for a tablet, because what we're looking at is the screenshot for the screen. I mean, for the phone screen that we just looked at.
That's a good call, and you could do that fairly straightforwardly just by packaging additional image assets for the larger screen sizes.
Right. Right. All right. Let's go to the next step with more instructions.
No shortage of instructions.
Small, in my opinion, but it does the job. So up here, hotspots, general, and add-ons, where I guess you can purchase some additional items. So now have a look at how the hotspot is triggered. So as I walk my finger from the right-hand side of the screen, I popped up a bunch of grids, just like what we saw on the phone. And based on what we see here, it looks like the grid layout is optimized for a phone form factor with a narrower screen, but it sort of feels like the grids are squished together on a larger tablet screen size. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward implementation. Do you have anything to add to this?
No, not really.
Yeah.
It seems like the tablet is sort of a natural follow-on. It doesn't seem to have functionality which is significantly different, with the exception of that grid. I think you really want that grid to be kind of full screen. Then again, I guess there's an argument to be said that you want it to be sort of within, thumb range or something.
Right.
Is it within thumb range? Hold this up. Not
Almost.
quite.
Depending on the size of your hand.
Oh, look at that. Perfect.
Watch out for
So
the
that's how far across my thumb needs to go. So if you've got giant man hands, then I guess it works. If you've got dainty little hands like me, it's probably not ideal.
So maybe you can rearrange the grids in this region, right?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go ahead and switch to the tablet screen. Thanks, Trevor.
Yeah,
So I was
you went
I was
down
going to
instead of
suggest
across.
if you could rearrange the grid layout in this region right here.
Yeah, that
Because
would work
normally
well.
people carry their tablet devices either on this corner or the,
Yeah,
on the
one
right,
one
on the right
corner or
corner.
the other.
Yeah.
And then depending on where you, like whichever side you dragged from,
Yeah.
you would just have the extra, have all the buttons there. I like that. That's
Cool.
good. That's good feedback.
Plus one from Rayto.
Absolutely. Rather than sort of having it all cramped and across on a tablet, either make it go full screen if that's kind of the usability you're going for, or make it thumb usable.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Awesome. Good job.
Yes, otherwise, it looks
yeah.
nice. I really like the UI, really like the style. Functionality seems solid as well. So yeah, maybe change that sort of usability on tablet a little bit, try and optimize that, and I think you'll have something really nice. So, well done.
Shall we move on?
Let's move on, yeah. I'm going to skip the next one I've got on my screen. I'm going to go straight to a beautiful battery. So this is effectively a widget. So one of the interesting things about widgets is what happens when you start them from their icon, from the launcher icon. So if we have a look at the phone now, you should see what you get.
Busy.
It is. Just wait
Switch to the phone.
We're working our producer hard today. Okay, so this is what happens when you open it up, and so this is really interesting because the whole notion of this widget is that it's beautiful, that it's the most attractive looking widget that you could come up with to display something which you already have on the top left of your screen. So we can already see how much battery we've got here at all times. So really the attractiveness is the key feature. Most people will, most people are going to launch an app. Even if they know it's a widget, there's a very good chance that they're going to launch it first, just to see what it does, what it says, what it looks like. And this is the first screen that they see. This is not a beautiful screen. Green and orange are an interesting color combination. I don't know that it really works here.
And there's a placeholder for ad.
Yes, ad goes here. That's interesting.
Awesome.
The
It's
buttons,
loading.
the buttons, yeah, exactly. The buttons themselves are kind of iPhone looking, but kind of ugly iPhone looking. You know, if you're going to copy another platform, at least try and make it look nice. In this instance, I would have just gotten rid of all of this custom styling and gone just with a straight up normal looking settings screen, using probably the preferences fragments, or that framework.
Definitely.
So you got the grey, blue, hollow theming. Everything kind of looks right.
I mean, the out of the box. If you do nothing, look and feel.
Yes.
In my opinion, is also seems to be better than what we're looking at right now.
In this instance, absolutely. I mean, this just having the information here is kind of cool, but yeah, it's not beautiful. So yeah, I'd go right back to sort of the defaults here. I think you'll find that's a better experience.
It's interesting though. I wonder how they pull the type, lithium ion.
You can actually get most of this
status
information
through an API.
through the API.
Okay.
So the voltage and battery level you can get straight out of the API. Type, I think, as well. I think if you ask for the battery,
Temperature.
temperature is actually
That's
a
the sensor? Yeah.
That's right. So the
Okay.
temperature sensor gives you internal temperature in most cases. I think it's been deprecated now because sometimes it was ambient, sometimes it was internal,
Right.
and the API was ambiguous. So there's now an ambient temperature sensor that you can use for that, and generally speaking, the temperature sensor is going to return the internal battery temperature.
Right. What happens to this checkbox? Show battery state. I wonder what it does. Probably controls the look and feel in the
In the thing itself. So let's
widget.
display battery info in status bar. So okay, so it's done that up here. So if we drag that down, again, that's not necessarily the most beautiful. Again, this is a great example of where if you're going to try and do something which replaces the sort of default functionality, you need to bring something extra to the table. And a great example here would be to make this more attractive, if you will. Click opens this up. Let's see, status bar config. The battery is to be displayed. Okay, so that's a little bit grammatically suspect. The battery is to be displayed in the status bar, so maybe work on that. Convert to Fahrenheit. So rather than saying currently using Celsius, currently using Fahrenheit. So
Right,
that's
and it
kind of
toggles.
inverted. So generally, if you have a look at the way that most checkboxes work in Android, like they will just say what it is without the extra verbiage. So you would just have Fahrenheit tick or not tick, rather than sort of changing the text around it.
Or if you really want, do two radio buttons to make it clear.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
actually not a bad idea. Just so that it's less ambiguous.
It is. Yeah.
Could be something other than Celsius and Fahrenheit, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Or Kelvin.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking of. It could be in Kelvin. Let's see. So we've got themes, which is always nice. So you can change the color. That's fine. Let's see. We've got a menu
we've
item
got a
here.
button of shame.
Button of shame
You
because
can
it's
shift up
let me
the phone
exactly.
so the audience can see.
Menu button of shame. It's not bad to have a menu button, but it is bad to have a menu button which does nothing. So just switch your target API, and that will get rid of that. We'll jump back. More is always an interesting button. More from the same developer, I think. Yes. Okay, so you probably want your more button to be a little bit more descriptive. Say what it is more of. Help. Okay, so this is actually what comes up the first time you run the app. If you're just going straight from installation, you get this help screen first. And so I think again to Fred's earlier point, this is quite busy. You want to keep this as simple as possible. Like it's great to call out the translators and to make those requests to get more languages. It's a great way to get more distribution of your app. This is probably the wrong place for it if this is what you're going to show people straight away. I think basically just everything up. That is probably all you need to be displaying if you want to display anything at all.
Yeah.
Even then,
It's also got a small blurb explaining what Android widgets are on top.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, assume this, if someone has installed this, then they understand how widgets work. If they don't understand widgets at this point, your little blurb is probably not going to explain it. I do understand the rationale behind having it, but perhaps less verbiage. It's all about making sure that users get to the app as quickly as possible.
Right.
And so you don't want to make them read stuff, because my eyes just glaze over when I see
Yeah.
this much writing.
Right. Or put in more pictures.
More
right?
pictures.
People like
Pictures are awesome.
right?
Absolutely. And again, this is kind of fundamental to all of the advice we're giving you here. The key to this app is that it's beautiful, beautiful battery. So you want that experience for users right off the bat to be beautiful, for them to think, wow, the person who put this together really understands UI, they really know how to make something beautiful. At this point, we're already doubting that, and we haven't actually looked at the widget yet.
Right.
So let's have a look at the widget.
Right. But before going into the widget,
hey.
I like to give the developer props of doing all the translations. Right? Let's
Please,
have a quick
absolutely.
look at it. But again, I forgot how to navigate back to that screen.
Maybe
more?
No, it's help.
Help. Thanks, Rachel. So check this out.
That's
so
pretty
we've
good.
got about, close to a dozen different languages.
That's
So
some
that's
good
pretty
effort.
good,
Yeah,
yeah.
Ukrainian, Estonian, Italiano, outstanding. So this is excellent stuff, and this idea of crowdsourcing your translations, I think, is a really good one. If you've got users who love your app and in foreign countries, you'll often find that people are willing to volunteer their time to provide translations, and particularly for apps like this, which probably don't have a huge number of strings, with the exception of the stuff
All
here.
right. Yeah, it should be a fairly lightweight effort.
You would think so, yeah,
in the grand
exactly.
scheme of things. Yeah.
So good call on getting all the translations, and well done all of you guys for
Awesome.
doing these. Yeah, that's really cool. Should we look at the widget?
Yeah.
Let's look at the widget.
Please do.
All right. So first thing, I will point out that the app icon is very attractive. It's very nice. We scroll across. So this is it. This is what it looks like, and it is, I think, fair to say, pretty beautiful. It's nice. You kind of got that radioactive, glowy green situation here. I can tell you from experience that when the battery level drops down below, I think about 30%, it turns orange and then red under 20. So, it's kind of what you'd expect, but does look nice. But I'm sure by the end of today's session, we'll be able to show you what it looks like at a lower,
Yeah, let's check that out.
a lower thing. So I think it gradually transitions from green through yellow, orange, and red. So one of the comments I wanted to make. So what I've actually got on screen here are two different widgets. So if I go to add the widgets, you can see that there's two. There's battery widget small and battery widget, and this is the effect of dropping them both. Now, which one do you think is small?
Take a guess.
You got 50-50 chance.
Left.
Correct. And so what it actually is the one on the left is battery widget without padding, and the one on the right is battery widget with padding. So this is a 2x1, so it's 2 cells high, and this is a 1x1, so it's 1 cell.
Yeah.
So I imagine that they've done this for being able to position things on the home screen in the right way. I'd be interested to have a better understanding of the rationale behind it. What I was kind of expecting from the big one was the ability to resize it,
Right.
drag it.
Right. I was expecting a bigger icon or something. right?
Something, yeah. So I would think carefully about it. Certainly the naming. If you've named one small and one not small, then you would expect a size difference. Now I realise that this is probably all sort of PNGs or final graphics, which is why it looks quite nice, which makes resizing difficult. But again, that would be an interesting thing to try and do, is to create a way so that maybe you have multiple different images, different image levels, and then based on the size, the number of cells, load a bigger version. So you still have the high res, but it's bigger.
Right.
Because if someone really likes the idea of beautiful battery widgets on their home screen, then they may want to have a really big.
Right. A big one or one with a different design?
Yeah, exactly. Different designs are nice. So the same way that you've got themes set up for the notification, you may want to do the same sort of thing for the actual battery itself.
Definitely.
Right? So different themes, different kinds of batteries, car batteries, whatever else. I wonder if they have different graphics for the different types of battery. It'd be hard to test about a phone without a lithium-ion battery.
All right, let's look for that in V2.
Exactly. When I hook this up to my car battery, I want to see a different image.
All right, shall we have a look at the tablet version?
Yeah, by all means, yeah.
Yeah, let's switch to the tablet. Awesome, Trevor.
Beautiful.
And great animation, by the way. So I've added
Japan
a
does those.
large widget, which has currently I have 68%. Basically, we have the same design as what we just saw on the phone. Let's then have a look at the app itself. So it's pretty trivial. It's a stretched version, horizontally stretched version of what we just saw with the same set of information. I'm not going to repeat the comments on color scheme and stuff like that.
It's arguably less beautiful. One really interesting thing you can see really well here on the display is that there's almost no padding. If we go back to the main screen, you keep pressing more. You want more. You want it really bad. So you can actually see on your screen here that we're losing text because it's being cropped slightly on our output.
Right.
So obviously it's not going to be cropped on a real device, but it's just right hard up against the edges, and you definitely want to have some padding there just to give a little bit of space.
Yeah. Generally, it's good practice if you are porting a phone optimized version to a tablet. At least do two things, right? Increase the font size and have some padding, just like what Reto suggested earlier.
Well, one other thing as well. I mean, you do have this beautiful imagery for the battery widget itself. Why not stick that on the screen? I mean, certainly
That's a good idea.
It may be a challenge on the phone version, but on the tablet, man, I'd make half of my display just a giant version of the battery. It may be in different states, something like that, but just something to give people an idea of what it is that they're going to install. The thing about a widget is that it takes a number of steps. They have to, click several buttons and do several things to get it there. The more things people have to do, the less likely they are to do it. So you want to take as many, give them as much incentive as possible to go through that process and install your widget.
Right, that's a great idea. Yeah, as I was sitting here, I was waiting for the ad to show up, but it never arrived. And Google Play Store just stopped.
Oh, disappointing.
Right. Okay. They have a Rate Me button that brings you to Play Store for users to provide them with some feedback.
Okay. And so they've got a good indication there of some of the different. See, yes, I can.
Oh, way on the screenshot.
Of the different states on the screenshot. Now they actually, and this is confusing. They have bigger. They have bigger widgets. How do they do that? How do you add the bigger widget? So I wonder if it's just because the device that so that's an ICS device over here, right? So that's confusing. So I have no idea how to make the widget bigger. It's not resizable as per usual.
Right. Yeah, it's non-trivial.
Definitely something odd going on there. So yeah, it would be interesting to find out from you guys how do you make the bigger widget appear? And my other suggestion would be, given that you can make it bigger, is to just make it resizable, as you normally would.
Right. Well, this is a small one, but anyway.
Ooh, that looks like a hangout view. Cool.
All right, cool. So we looked at beautiful battery widgets.
Beautiful battery. All right, perfect.
All right.
We're cruising along today. Let's see, we've got a few more to look at. I think I want to switch to AirPush Defender, AirPush Detect. So this is an interesting app, and this is one which Ian suggested we have a look at today because he wanted us to have strong words about something. So if you have a look on the phone, you'll see what this app is. Wow, double us. It's a lot of us.
With fancy effects going on.
Exactly. So the idea behind this is that it's supposed to detect basically apps and games which use, shall we say, controversial techniques to try and encourage you to monetize your app. So all of those sorts of games, I think Ian and Dan in particular have talked about these, which will basically create a notification even while the app isn't running to push you to buy something.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
Exactly. So I think that's what AirPush is. I don't know for certain, but it's certainly the idea behind this app is to try and help you. It's basically an ad blocker for those sorts of monetization techniques.
So an ad would show up in the notification?
In the notification, okay. Yes, exactly.
I'm not too sure about that.
Exactly. So I'm not a fan of those. So from that perspective, this is an interesting application. So it's basically like AdBlock for your browser, but specifically for sort of questionable marketing.
Got it. Although from a technical standpoint, I wonder how they achieved it.
I'm curious myself. Yeah. So I mean, this sort of fits into an interesting category because it's sort of anti-adware, sort of virus checking sort of thing. And generally, we have pretty short shrift for sort of antivirus software because they're pretty much all pointless and don't do anything. This one, I don't have any of these apps installed which use this. So if I hit scan now, it scans, and what it's doing while it scans is not clear to me. It hasn't found any adware, which is nice. But again, it's on a non-rooted phone.
Too. Useful.
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 Well, indeed. I can almost. I have no idea whether it was useful or not. So it's interesting. I'm intrigued by the notion, and certainly I'm not a fan of the sort of techniques which this app is trying to combat. So on that level, I think that's fair enough. If we look at the app itself from a UI perspective, it's kind of a nightmare. Half the screen is dedicated to basically getting us to pay for the app, which it does through Google Play.
It feels like looking at a web page from the 90s.
Yeah.
Expecting something that's blinking now.
Yeah, and the thing about this, so I can't speak whether this app actually does anything, whether it's malicious or not
assuming
malicious, I have no idea.
Or whatever.
But this is the interesting thing. I look at this and immediately my spidey sense tingles. I think to myself, this looks like a web page that comes up in the background of another web page saying you're infected by a killer virus. Click here to download the latest and greatest
and
virus
would you like
software.
to earn an Android tablet?
Exactly.
Click here.
You're one of the lucky million. It looks like a scam, which, like I say, I have no idea. I haven't done anything other than just install it here. But it's the intuition, exactly.
Right.
This looks like a scam, which is basically trying to, use my fear of another scam to basically give this person money. So from a presentation perspective, if you are doing something legit,
show that you add value.
Yeah,
first,
and
right?
maybe describe how it is you do it, because certainly from an Android user perspective, I'm like, I don't even think that it really can. So I'm really curious to know how it suggests that it can do that. And you want to be as upfront as possible with these sorts of things, to explain it all. And sort of focusing on the monetization is not a great way of doing that. Like, if putting user experience, if trying to improve that user experience is sort of the key behind the app, then that should be the focus, and explaining that and how it works and why you should do it, rather than scan your phone and also please send us money. It also has a menu button of shame, but that doesn't really seem like the most important thing right now. So I can. This is not my phone, so I can. It's real-time protection. So presumably at this point, it's going to check for notifications to see whether something's being displayed by a dodgy.
Does it even pop up a notification itself?
No, it doesn't.
No. Okay.
Which is okay. So this is a good point. So it may seem counterproductive for an app which is designed to prevent more notifications, but given that this is presumably this is interesting. So it can't be an ongoing service. Right. Because for an ongoing service, you need to have some sort of notification. So if you are going to be doing something which actually scans something in the background, then you would need to have an ongoing service and display that.
Well, let's check it out. Does it even have a service?
Oh, that's a good point.
Settings. Apps. Let's check out settings, apps, and what's it called? Air push detect. Right?
Air push detect. That's correct.
All right, let's check it out. Doesn't look like it's running anything. All right. Anyway.
So yeah,
it's
interesting. So that's my biggest criticism, is that it looks scammy and spammy, even if it isn't. And certainly, if it is doing something useful, then you need to work on your UI. You need to make it look a lot more professional. Add the padding. Use update to the newest Target SDK, so that you get using the Holo theme and all those sorts of good things. Hope I'm not giving advice to someone who's just ripping people off. That would be unfortunate.
Well, one sort of good thing about this app is the icon looks actually decent.
Well, you say that, but can you read what that says?
I can't read it on the phone. I take it back.
You take it back. It could be good, but it's really small. So I mean, what this indicates is it's a good example of why.
But on a tablet.
On a tablet, you can.
Looks reasonably legible.
Yeah.
Air push secure.
Air push detect. Yeah, that's true. But it's a good example of why
Yeah.
you probably don't want to stick text onto your application
Good
icon
point.
because it
Good
can
call.
get really small. So that's probably something to avoid. Yeah. Let's move on from that. I think we'll move on.
Yeah,
so,
let's
we
do it.
have.
Let's even skip the tablet version. I already.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's going to
Yeah.
be basically the same thing. Our on-air sign has gotten less bright. There we go. Need to be bright. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got, I think, a couple more minutes. So let's have a quick look at Safe in Cloud.
All right, let's do it.
It's the last one which I wanted
Lightning
to
review.
Lightning review. That's right. So I've already set this one up. So it wants my password. I'm going to move that off. Oh, look at that. He tried to get me. Not this time. 5, 4, 3. There we go. All right. Okay, you can switch back now. So the idea behind this is it's basically a password safe. It makes a bunch of promises as to how it's going to encrypt all of your data, and then basically lets you add passwords.
The UI though looks a lot more modern on this app
Yes.
as compared with the last one.
Yeah, so this looks good. So the look and feel of this app is really nice. It's all holo themed. We've got traditional action bar. We've got navigation happening with the spinner here, which is exactly the right approach. We've got search built in using the appropriate search things. Add card, add note. All of this stuff is exactly as you would expect it to be, including I think settings. If you go into settings, you can.
Got it.
It's the sort of standard
So
settings.
it's a vault for all of your passwords, pins, whatever
Exactly.
sensitive information that you like to protect.
That's
on
right.
your
So
device.
you can go in here and have your Gmail account and stick that in. So this isn't me. So
Are
the,
you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Alright.
So this is an example. It actually gives you a bunch of samples built in, which is a really interesting way to do it. So you don't end up with sort of this empty screen when you start up the app. You start off with, oh, okay, so these are the sorts of things that I should be having in there. Oh, okay, so yeah, you put your full details and all of that sort of stuff. And then you can go through and star the ones. So now, this is one interesting thing in terms of usability. So starring these things is actually modifying my UI. So if I star...
Try to start the last one. That sort of disrupts your flow.
Exactly. Suddenly, like, if I go, say, the third one here, and then suddenly
Yeah, where am
third
I?
moves to the top, and you kind of lose your way. And if I just want to tag the first 3, and then things are just moving away. So
That's a very good observation. Yeah.
I see where you're going with this, and it certainly makes sense to try and move the favorites to the top. But having a sort of a dynamic UI like that it's a little bit confusing. Now I don't actually have a really great solution for this, because usually I would suggest that you should put it in the navigation.
Start items. or
Yeah,
something like that, right?
but they're already using this for sort of categories. So that
Great. Could you try putting your mic back on the table? Sorry.
mic pack. Yeah.
No,
No.
not the mic. The
Back.
transmitter. Oh. We're getting a ton of interference. Okay.
Oh, interference. That's unfortunate. Sorry, everyone. You won't have to put up with us for much longer. So yeah, what I would suggest is maybe if you change this into a split action bar, so that you have your actions along the bottom, then you could probably have another kind of navigation along the top. That might be something to look into, because you basically want to be able to have those stars separately, but without having them pushed to the top. Yeah, I'm not sure that I have a great solution to that. Maybe that's something that Roman can suggest, or even some of the people watching. If you want to make suggestions into the G+ stream, that would be interesting. But yeah, for me, that's a little bit disconcerting having them jump around like that. The app itself is nice and fast, responsive, everything else. Do you want to have a quick look at it on the tablet?
Yeah, let's have a look at the tablet.
So I think Fred's just starting here.
So I just went through the setup. Whoa. So it's a very nice UI with fragments on the left and one on the right with an action bar. Basically, in
Nice.
terms of functionality, it's the same as what we just saw. They've got a bunch of sample credit card and password informations seeded already with the app when it comes in. Let's try to have a look at the behavior when somebody tries to star something. Same behavior,
same
just
behavior.
popped to the top. So maybe we can potentially, on the UI of a tablet, you can fit more items here because there's just more real estate.
Well, and in
up
fact,
top.
here on the tablet, they're using the categories are all listed here, so they're not using any top-level navigation. So you could have that as a top-level tab between start and not start pretty easily.
Right.
If we switch back to the tablet, to the phone, I just want to demonstrate at the beginning. It sort of gives you this this intro, telling you what the app does in sort of a wizard, and it goes through and tells you exactly how your password's protected and all that sort of stuff, which I think is quite nice. So it gives you that intro. I mean, one of the things I really like about this app, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's something which has been done a lot of times. It looks nice, and I think one of the keys for me is that as you're going through, it explains everything. So that once you read all of this, you get to the start, you understand why you're doing things and what is happening, and then even giving you those sample accounts, really helps to push you so that you don't just end up with something blank and empty, and you're like, okay, what does this do? How am I supposed to use it?
Right. The one suggestion I have, I don't know how do you go back to the wizard screen. One suggestion I have is to maybe show the user a sense of progress. Because looking at this screen, I don't know how many more screens.
How long is this going to go? Yeah.
Right, but fortunately in this case it's 3, but still it's good. Oh, you can swipe through it
swipey
too. But in general, it's good practice to indicate to the user, okay, how many more steps are needed.
That's a really good call.
Yeah.
And as well, one thing which might be quite nice, so you have the 3 buttons along the bottom or whatever, so the indicators. When you get to the last one, you can't drag any further, which is fair. It may be worth just changing the text in your button at the bottom to done or close.
Yeah, or
continue.
protect my content or something.
Exactly. Get started. Just something to indicate that, okay, the wizard's done. Let's move on to the next stage. Cool. All right. So I think that takes us a little bit over time because we started a little bit late today. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you very much to all of the apps which nominated yourself for review. We saw some really nice ones today. Apologies to the developers who we have looked at in the past. I have a big long doc which has all of the feedback that we have for all the different apps, which I'm currently working through, and we'll send out to you probably at the beginning of next week. I know I keep saying that, but for reals, you will definitely get your feedback. So in the meantime, we've got Ian and Dan. I think Dan's back this week.
He's got a new hat.
New hat?
Yeah, I saw
Excellent.
early, yeah.
So they'll be up next to go through a bunch of games. We'll be back here same time next week, 1 p.m., which is, I think, UTC -7. So yeah, looking at more apps. So we'll have the moderator page, same as usual. So if you want to have your apps reviewed, please nominate there, and we'll see you all next week.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.